This is the Digital Savage Experience Podcast, hosted by Roman Prokopchuk, bringing you all things digital marketing, tech, business, and motivation. What's stopping you from becoming relentless in all aspects of life? Are you ready to become a digital savage? Let's get into today's episode.
Hey everyone, this is Roman Prokopchuk, and this is the Digital Savage Experience. Episode 54. Is volume the key to a successful content strategy? My answer, yes and no. Obviously, it's not an easy question because there's a lot of situations that come into play. You have companies that just blast content out, no rhyme and reason, no strategy, no targeting in terms of who they're actually trying to reach. And then you have other companies that are putting content out and testing to specific audiences in specific locations, super hyper local, towards specific pain points from an organic and paid standpoint. And obviously that's a better route to go. You never want to do something in terms of let's throw everything in the wall and see what sticks. I've been in executive meetings in marketing agencies where owners of companies have proposed that as a strategy. All I could do there is, sit there and shake my head, give my 2 cents in terms of disagreement and strongly disagreeing with that strategy, and then being, overruled and running with it, and eventually obviously leaving that agency because strategically it isn't going anywhere, nor did it go anywhere. So basically, you can't throw everything against the wall and see what sticks. You may not have the resources, the time, the strategic assets in-house to do so. So what do? You have to be smarter with your content. Yes, you can still produce, let's say, 100 pieces of content, but you can redo and rework things. Like if you have a long video, chop it up, the main points in terms of 20, 30, 40 second, 1 minute clips in terms of easier consumption on social media. You can obviously take the voice out of it and create a podcast, do audio clip overlays on static images, that kind of thing. If you did do a video, take a video clip, basically embed it, create a blog post. If you have any other platforms in terms of microblogging, you can utilize that as well. You can tweet out 10-second intervals. So there's a million things you can do. All you need is one core piece of content. You don't need to be creating. You can be creating and wisely reusing. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to understand your audience and what they're looking for. Obviously, an audience is going to be overwhelmed if you bombard them with, 100 pieces of content. I don't know, in a day. Obviously, if you're a small business, there's no way you can produce that sheer volume on a limited marketing budget. If you're a bigger brand or, enterprise level Fortune 500, yes, you can produce that volume, but what are you actually doing? If you aren't employing a strategy where you actually have targeted content to specific personas, if you go hires on a cohort level or as, a user segment, then you're throwing money away and you're discouraging people to come back and consume the content of your brand. Eventually, if you keep putting out bad content and not adding value, those people are going to go elsewhere and become numb to your brand and to what you're putting out. Yes, it's one thing to people just leave and not want to consume your content. It's another thing where you become basically standoffish to your brand because you looked kind of phony in terms of how you're trying to reach them and bombarding them with useless content just to be top of mind. Yes, you still want to be top of mind. You still want to have that brand recognition, but do it in a tasteful manner. Add value first and then, have an ask, have a call to action. Majority of the time, have a more subtle call to action, and after that, obviously, you get them in your funnel and then get something more tangible in terms of a direct request. So obviously, ask somebody to follow up a video with looking at a case study or an infographic within that case study, basically send them to another asset that builds on the case study and basically the building block to finally get them to do the decision or the intent that you've had for them to begin with in the start of the process. Obviously, in terms of organic content for social, a lot of the time it's used for branding and engagement and communication with the audience, not necessarily direct conversion. But there are instances where you can still communicate and still drive sales and leads through organic social as well. So if you do experiment and you happen to have 100 pieces of content, do not just throw it away. Get value out of it. I would recommend obviously building out the audience segments based on what's most important to you as a business or as a brand, and basically take 10 pieces of content per. Make those buckets and see which of those 10 work the best, and obviously narrow it down. But simply just throwing random things with no rhyme or reason, that's not going to get you anywhere. You can see brands doing it all the time. Just random things, reposting, regurgitating, so on and so forth. Not making that content concise or fit a user for a specific platform. You're not going to structure content that you're putting on LinkedIn to a B2B audience the same way you're throwing something on Instagram that's obviously more visual, or on Snapchat for a younger demographic, or Twitter that's obviously the life cycle of a tweet is a lot less than an Instagram post versus a post on LinkedIn. So you have to be mindful and considerate about how audiences interact on specific platforms and how they engage and consume the content. So I hope this helped a little bit in terms of what you're doing, what you're creating. So you're simply not just creating volumes of content without a strategy. If you're creating volume, have a strategy in mind, and basically get data. If you have no data and no results from 100 pieces of content, to better understand how your audience is consuming it and what's actually working, then I don't know what to tell you. Maybe talk to me at the end of the day. But until next time, guys, if you have any questions about digital marketing, me as a foster parent, some of the things that I've went through in terms of an immigrant, a lot of motivational stuff that, I've experienced, feel free to reach out. Moving forward, I'm going to start having guests. If you'd like to be a guest, feel free to email, direct message, however you want to contact me. And until next time, guys, take care. Have a good one.
This podcast has been brought to you by Nova Zora Digital. Find out how Nova Zora Digital can help your company grow online. Learn more at novazoradigital.com. Until next time, all you digital savages.